What's going on, everyone? Dwayne here from NorCal Nerf Club. Real glad to say today we get to take a good hard look at the brand new Dart Zone Ballistics Ops Apex Spring Action Ball Blaster. Real nice little pistol. I've been eager to see this one finally showing up on the shelves at Dollar General, which, by the way, it is a Dollar General exclusive. And the first and most important thing I think on this package is right here, this $10 price tag there. Now remember that throughout this video that this blaster costs $10, and I think that's pretty nice. I have already gone ahead and done the straps on this one. I think I cut them all, making it real easy to get it out of there because they're big, heavy-duty ties that they got in holding that blaster in there. They didn't want anybody running off with that one. Not for that one. It's only $10. Okay, but yeah, nice feeling blaster. It's all right. I bought a couple of these, and the grip is a little bit small on it. The safety, though, I don't mind this one. Now, like on the Liberator shotgun and the Sentry pistol, the way that they have that safety built into the grip, I didn't really like it so much and ended up removing it. This one, I'm not sure I'm going to. It's just it fits real nicely, and you know, once you just grip onto that handle, then the safety's pressed right there. Your finger's just pressing it down real comfortable. It takes no effort. So, you know, I might just keep it in there just for the sake of having one in there and not having to fill up that space again there. But there it is, the blaster. Very, very nice. I like this. And once again, remember, this is only $10, okay? But yeah, taking a look at the other side of it, it does have these team indicators on it, okay? And they pry it off if you want to, but it has a green team indicator. And then down here, if you look, there's a little box thing here where you would think maybe you were gonna get the other team indicators. You don't get those, but you do get a set of instructions right there, okay? Pretty easy to figure out this blaster, though, and how to load it and everything. Let's go ahead and get the rounds out of it, and we'll get it loaded up. Which, that's another interesting thing is how this loads. It's a little bit, I don't want to say different, because it's just a front-loading ball blaster. You know, you look at this blaster and it's similar to a lot of other dart blasters in the past, but this one, of course, shooting rival rounds or the tactical strike rounds from Dart Zone Adventure Force. Like I said, you get 8 of them. It takes 5 of them. But this is the kind of strange thing here, okay? Because you load it in, you know, here, and then push them down in each barrel there, okay? So, and you got to push them down all the way. Now me, right there, I'm using my middle finger. I'm down to my knuckle right there. If you had really big, thick fingers, you might have a problem with this. Or if your fingers aren't long enough, yeah, you're definitely going to have a problem shoving those down there. It takes a little bit of effort, but once they're all down there, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, this part of the plastic is kind of translucent a little bit more, this orange. So you can see the rounds where they're at right there. Okay, now we're all fully loaded, got 5 rounds in there. Let's go ahead and take it over the chronograph. First time, right out of the box. Let's see what it can do. Real easy to prime up here. In fact, I like the priming grip up here. Has something you can grip on here. These couple little notches right here are kind of nice for where you can grip onto. Not terribly comfortable in this spot when you prime it back. And I'm thinking about it, how it's going to be with, you know, when I've got a bigger spring load in there. How much more of a load is that going to be on my hand right there? Now, when I do play with wrist supports that have good padding there and in the palm of my hand. So that helps a little bit on some of the blasters that are a little bit harder to prime. But if you notice there, that prime just comes out the back there, and then it's loaded. Okay, see, spring loaded return. Okay, so that's pretty nice little feature. Once again, remember that $10 price tag through this whole thing. Now, I was playing around, like I said, I got 2 of these, and I was playing around with the other one earlier, and I was noticing the rounds kind of wanted to shoot down unless I kind of pointed up a little bit, and then they were shooting pretty straight, but I was having a little bit of problem with chronograph earlier, and we'll see if I can get some good chronograph readings on this without that hitting the inside of the chronograph. Okay, so I got an 83.3 right there, which wasn't too bad, but I felt like it kind of maybe nudged. I'm trying to get real centered on the chronograph right here. And let's see, 74.7. You know, we can definitely do better than that. 79.7. Once again, I feel like it's kind of, you can see that it's moving the chronograph a little bit. So that kind of tells me that we may be brushing the inside. There we go, 77.7. And then the last shot here, I get this really lined up. That one went through. I don't know, 63.6. So they might be hitting the chronograph. That's one kind of a little bit of a problem with this type of chronograph sometimes is that brushing the inside, then that is definitely going to affect the numbers here. Okay, so let's take a look at these numbers though. We had a max of 83.3. We had a minimum of 63.6 and an average of 75.8. Okay, even with that maximum, I kind of felt like it maybe brushed definitely right into the inside of the chronograph here. Yeah, I like those numbers and everything, you know, straight stock out of the box. That's nothing horrible. Once again, remember this is a $10 blaster, but you know me, I've always got to get one of these and we'll see what the stock numbers are like. And then I always want to improve it. I always want to see what I can do to make it a little bit better. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and do it. You've seen the box, you've seen the blaster, there it is. You've seen how it loaded and everything. You've seen the safety. We've talked about how comfortable that is and everything. So let's do it. Nothing's stopping us right now. Got a screwdriver in hand. Let's get the screws out of this thing, get it open, and let's see what kind of spring we can put in this. Well, there we have it. There's the internals of the brand new Dart Zone Apex. Now, this is where we're at on this project. Doing a little bit of trial and error here. Okay, now that is a good chunk of K25 that I've already put in there, and I'm going to show you how to take the spring in and out of there. This is the stock spring that was in there, and it's not too bad. They're rather small in diameter, but it's not a bad spring. As we saw from the stock numbers, a little underwhelming on the stock numbers, and we definitely want to work on that. Now, I've had the K25 in there, and like I said before, I'd bought two of these Apexes, and the other one at this point has a perfect fit Kronos spring in it, which also is working and catching. Okay, now this is what the story is, though, and what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through taking the spring out, which is just, because you can see it's a very simple mechanism. All we got to do is take the catch, move that to the side there, and then I can pop that chunk of K25 that I've measured. And I measured it to the same size of the stock spring, which happened to be 8 coils. So I've got 8 full coils of K25 there, no squared ends, 8 full coils of K25 there. And then this is the plunger rod. I have already re-lubed up the plunger head as well as padding the plunger head. Okay, with these, everybody always asks me, the adhesive foam gripper pads from Dollar General, really good, big ones fit in there just perfectly, as you can see. Very nice, so that's going well. Okay, now, this is what's going on though. Like I said, I've had the chunk of K25 in there, and that was working well, catching nicely and everything, firing nicely. Problem is it is very underwhelming in power. Not a big improvement. A little bit of improvement. I think we're getting right around maybe 103 feet per second average with 8 coils of K25 in there. Something doesn't make sense here. Okay, now the same thing, I put the Perfect Fit Kronos spring into another one of these Apexes, and was only able to get it up in about 115 feet per second average. That's so great. Almost doesn't make it worth making, doing that. I've got a really nice spring in there. One that in the Kronos or in the Heracles, both of them, they'll average 145 easy with that Perfect Fit Kronos spring in there. So that was really bothering me. That's a really nice spring and just, once again, a $10 blaster. But if I can only get it up to 115, but why? So I couldn't stop there. We kind of ended this video at one point there, but as soon as I sat back down after it, I said, no way, no, I can't end that video here. We've got to figure this out, okay? So now let's look inside the plunger tube here, and I'm wondering if I can get this on camera. Shine a little flashlight down there, see if I can get it. Kind of looking over my monitor there. If you can see that down in there, there is a little kind of spacer at the end of the plunger tube between where the end of the plunger head would be at and the air restrictor back there. Okay, so a lot of dead space, and that right there, this looks unnecessary to me. I feel that's really blocking a lot of the air and performance out of this blaster. Other than that, you know, good plunger tube and everything, good solid. It's big, but only a really small area that it's going to push that air through there as it is, okay? So I'm thinking what we're going to need to do is go in there and just rip that out. I've got a pair of needle nose. I think I can get in there and just kind of rip that out of there, and then we'll see about probably removing the air restrictor as well. Okay, I'm sorry for doing that off camera. I'm kind of trying to save a little bit of space on my card here after I've filmed a lot of video on this blaster already, and I had to get it into a little bit different light where I could see it a little bit better to get down in there. But yeah, you know, grab a hold of a pair of needle nose, little twist, and yes, we got the little spring, we got the air restrictor out of there. I may just leave that little part in there just to not break anything. But then again, that was pretty easy to do. Let's see. I want to do it, like I said, I don't want to break this seal or anything like that. So we've got that opened up a little bit. And I could remove the rest of it and everything, but you know, some of you guys are going to tell me, yeah, cut it out of there. But I think I'm going to leave that in there. I don't want to break any of this area. I'm afraid of that plastic being real fragile, and if I get breaking at it, I don't have my Dremel tool here right now. It's out on loan while my Percy's is getting worked on. So I loaned it out to them to work on the shell of that. But yeah, this is I'm going to leave that there. But now we've removed that space there. I want to make sure I've taken out all the post out of there too. It looks like there's one still sticking down in there. Yeah, I'll have to get in there and get a hold of that. Rip that out of there. Oh, that should be easy. Look, I can get in there and get a hold of it. There we go. Yeah, see, just a little bit of plastic that was left on the post there. So that's all removed and everything. Okay. Like I said, I'm just going to leave that as is. Now, once again, we're going to get, it's not even going to touch that end of it. So I'm just going to leave that there to just kind of help improve the seal there. And I don't want to break any part of that off that would mess with the seal at the end of this. I think I'm probably going to throw a little bit more lube on that as well as the plunger head here. And then we're going to go ahead and let's see here, we're going to put that all back together. Okay, so now we're ready to get the spring in the blaster. I have gone ahead and lubed up the inside of the plunger tube a little bit on this seal here, kind of moisten that up a little bit better, as well as over here on the plunger head. I've lubed that up in that ring and everything, so that should be all good to go. And I can go ahead and slide that in, and as well as I can put the new spring on there. Now I want to keep this so that I can get all of the spring in there. And what I mean by that is I have this open end down here. It's not a squared end, and I want to get it so that all of the spring is in here as in down here. In other words, I don't want it up here where it's sticking out, part of the mechanism here. We want to get it to fit on there real nice and evenly. In fact, I want to twist it just a little bit. I probably have to finagle with that a little bit, and I'll get it to snap down in place. Like I said, so that I've got all of the spring is in there. Okay, keep our little automatic return in place, and then right now I can go ahead and get this to rehook on the back of the catch here. There we go. A little hard to get a hold of sometimes, but they're real easy to slip right back on there. And then I can go ahead and get that into place where it needs to be. Right into that little slot. And it just kind of sits there. Kind of good until you put it all back together. It kind of just slides into that place. Doesn't really lock in so much. Kind of just sits there. And I got to make sure that we're all good here. As far as the barrel, I want that to snap down a little bit more into place here. Okay, should be good. Should be good. This thing is funny because it'll have you rehooking it all the time on there. Okay, it's not too hard usually. It's a little tricky. Get it to just in the right place. I feel like I've probably done this 30 times now. All right, there we go. If I get that, sits right up there into its place. It's a nice hefty catch and spring and everything works very well, but I'm not having it. I'm getting it to, need to get that out of the way, and I need the rest of this to, there we go. I need that to sit down there a little bit better. Okay, barrel's all in place there. And once again, hey, we're unhooked off of the catch here. Happening all of the time. And I get my hands with the lithium grease on them, and it don't help out much. Okay. One more time. This is probably the trickiest part of this, I think I found so far. If it stays on there, fine, but it often wants to slip off. Okay, after a little bit of playing around with it, I finally got the catch back in place here. It just kind of sits in place until we put the shell in, and it'll hold the other half of it here. It's very solid. Very solid catch, actually, right there. Very solid plunger rod. No fear of breaking it, I don't think. We're going to see what happens after we've removed all those air restrictor parts out of it. But yeah, so far looking pretty good here. And make sure that the barrels are lined up there. Okay. That's important on that front piece, that this little indentation be facing up. On the other one, I actually had a defect from the factory. They'd put the barrels in the opposite way, and it wasn't actually closing the front end all of the way. But yeah, remedied that little problem. But anyways, the spring is all in there. Everything is looking good. I don't mess with this too much because I got everything in place with it now. Automatic slide is where it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this shell back together and everything, and let's see what kind of results we've got. Well, there we have it. Blaster is all put back together again. Really easy blaster to work on, actually. There isn't a lot of screws here to mess with. All of them the same size. Only one hidden one underneath the priming grip there. But so far we got K25 is in this one for spring, 8 coils K25 in it. I have also removed the air restrictor and the little spacer that was right behind it. So we got a little bit better air there, but really it's not going to make too much of a difference. This blaster, what we're getting stock, it was like high 70s, low 80s on it. And then after putting the K25 in it, I was getting a little bit above 100 on it. So an improvement, but not getting like really, really big numbers out of this blaster. And this is the funny thing about this blaster. It'll fire very, very straight, but I notice I got to kind of point it up just a little bit. And the round seems to kind of dip down a couple inches, and then it'll fly real straight. Kind of real strange. But it makes it very, very difficult for me to get good readings on this type of chronograph. The only time I've ever had a problem with this type of chronograph. Okay, got to go past right through that time. Most of the time you'll see it at all. If it moves the chronograph, then that means it hit the inside of it. So I got a 112, okay, the first one, 112, and we're just going to see. It's real difficult, I can tell you, to get 5 good shots to go through this. See, it moved it a little bit. 109.2 still, okay. We did move it a little bit, but that's okay. Just a little bit. See what we get here. 107.5 is, once again, as you see, it's nudging just a little bit on the inside of the chronograph there. So that wasn't too bad. 109.5. Okay, that's not bad. In the last shot, see if I can get a good one lined up here. Now, I am using all just the Adventure Force, the Tactical Strike, the Ballistic Ops rounds, whatever you want to call them. It's all of those in there. And I could probably get a little bit faster results with like proton rounds in there. See, once again, I think it nudged it a little bit. Only got a 98.3. So it's going to mess up our average a little bit, but still, okay. Had that max there of 112.1, a minimum of 98.3, and coming out to an average of 107.3. So not too bad. Like I said, they fly pretty straight. They kind of dip down a little bit, but once you adjust for that, they really do fly really well. Got a good, decent range to them and everything, so it's not a bad blaster for that. Okay, now, let's check this out, too. Because this one, I've done the same thing, too. We removed the air restrictor out of it. And this one has a perfect fit Kronos spring in it. And also, once again, loaded with the tactical strike rounds. So I've got a really, really good, strong spring in this one. One that if it was in a Kronos or in a Heracles, it would be doing 145 feet per second, same spring. So let's see what it can do in here. Now, before removing the air restrictor, I was getting right around maybe 113, 114, 15 average, right around there. So an improvement a little bit over the K25 and still really easy to prime. That's what surprises me. This with the perfect fit Chronos spring is actually easier to prime than a Kronos. And very, very quick too. You don't have to push it back and you know, you have the auto return on that. But let's see what we got for results now on this one. You know, 116.7, not bad. We're just probably going to get into the teens. Now, I have seen this hit as high as about 124 on it, and consistently a couple times. So, 118.4, and that's the second one. Let's try a third shot. 107.5, down just a little bit, and I did pass through there pretty nicely. I'm getting it lined up finally. 116.7. Not too crazy bad. Like I said, I've seen it a little bit faster, but maybe I saw that with like I said, with the proton rounds. And 115.7. So not bad, right there in the teens. We had a max of 118.4. Like I said, I've seen it up there, you know, 123, 124, right around there pretty consistently too. And even had at the time I was testing it out there earlier that I got like a 120 average, but whatever. We had 118.4 max, the minimum was 107.5, and the average is 115 even. So, I mean, not too bad. Now, that's considering, once again, let's go back. That was, with this stock out of the box, these were, you know, like I said, low 80s and high 70s on them. So we've made a good improvement on them. It's not getting the big numbers that you would think you would get, but then again, we got quite a bit of dead space at the end of that plunger tube. If that could be filled up, I could maybe put maybe one of the medium pads on there and kind of try to fill it up, but it's really, it's just not going to make that big of a difference. I mean, you're talking maybe getting 3 to 5 feet per second more out of it. It just really isn't going to be that big of a deal on this one. Okay, so to give you some of my final thoughts on the Dart Zone Apex, I think it's a pretty decent blaster for, once again, going back to that $10 price tag, okay? We got a good performing straight shooting blaster here that it costs $10 to start off with, a couple dollars worth of spring in it, and we're doing pretty decent, you know. We're not setting the world on fire with these numbers, but I still got a good shooting, easy to prime, and very, very reliable blaster. I think that is one of the most key things in any kind of gameplay, whether you're HVZ or you're doing close quarters battling. Reliability is key. I have never jammed either of one of these yet. What is there? There's nothing to jam. You know, it's kind of strange how you do have to load them here. Granted, it's a little bit slower than a lot of the Nerf Hasbro blasters, you know, but truthfully, like I said, it's reliable. It never jams, okay? Matter of fact, let's compare. I brought this out of here because I wanted to do two things here. I wanted to compare the size of the Apex to the Kronos, okay? As you can see, Apex is quite a bit shorter than a Kronos, you know, good, at least about 3 inches shorter than what a Kronos is. So, and, you know, same thing, really not really any much wider or anything than, it's just not that big of a deal. Okay, now you see I had that in the holster, and this is a very important thing. When looking at a holster, and a lot of questions that people have about pistols is, can I holster it? And I agree, that is a very important thing. And yes, this one going right in, this is a blastertech.com holster that I got from out of darts, okay? And that fits in there very, very nicely, very easy, very comfortably. You see, I didn't even adjust it, and if anything, I would probably adjust it a little bit tighter for this one, but fits in there really nicely, works out really well. So yeah, very easily holstered, okay? That is a good feature. That's a very important feature for pistols. The other thing about it is that I can prime this probably quicker. In fact, I want to check something out. Be right back. Okay, this is what I wanted to look at and what interests me, because this is one thing that I really do like about the Apex Blaster a whole lot, and that is that it has that automatic return. Okay, I don't even mind that it sticks this part of the priming rod out of there. That doesn't bother me at all. But see how quick that was to prime that. Okay, and prime it and fire again. Whereas if I pull over the Kronos over here, I like that. Now that's got the grip on it, so that does make it a little bit easier. But this one is kind of, it's very fast too. And I don't have to push it back, All I got to do is prime it and let go, okay? So that's a nice advantage, and very, very reliably. You can go too fast on a Kronos doing that sometimes. You have a round that doesn't push up all the way and gets pinched in there, and you go back in and you end up double loading. You got to mess with that and everything. And that's not going to happen on the Apex. So that's one little plus. Every blaster's got, different pros and cons, and that's a little plus. Reliability on this, very, very good. Once again, this is a $10 blaster. That's only a $15 blaster these days, but it's nice. Yeah, for $10, it's really not too bad. I could see this being very nice as a sidearm for you. If you're playing CQB, sure, yeah, why not? You don't need a ton of power. This can definitely easily hit something 30, 40 feet away, a person easily. You can hit somebody with that. So yeah, very well. Yeah, in fact, I look forward to playing with this. These are going to be fun to play with. But I really have enjoyed making this video for you guys. Once again, it was a really interesting journey in this, and kind of checking out a few things out, trying a couple of different springs and a whole lot of trial and error, and taking apart the blaster several times, and got very interesting for me. Very simple platform for a blaster, but yeah, interesting that it had that little bit of difference there in the plunger tube there. That was a little bit different. And taking out the air restrictor, everything's working just fine on these blasters. I think they're fairly comfortable. Grips aren't, huge or anything like that, but I'm a bigger person, but they're not bad. And once again, going right back to that $10 price tag on these, $10 blaster, really a pretty good deal if you ask me. But like I said, enjoyed making the video for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope maybe you got a second or so. You can go down there and give me a thumbs up on this video. Sure would appreciate it, and I will see you in my next one.